Yo, yo,
Oh,
yo. What up, dude?
yo.
Yo, man. How you doing?
Ugh. I'm doing good, man. You remember I delayed this coaching lesson because I was interviewing in Amazon. I fucking did not get that job. I failed my third coding interview, so I'm here wasting more of my life on StarCraft. Let's fucking go, dude.
I'm sorry, man. That's rough.
Nah, it's actually great. It's fine. I'm employed still, so it was just like trying to step up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Are you gonna? You have plans to try again for either the same thing or like something else? Or are you just
Yeah, I'm
gonna?
gonna keep trying. It's just a grind. You know, if you're fang sexual like me, where you want to work at all these big tech companies, it's quite the grind. But that's not what we're here to do. We're here to play some StarCraft, here to hopefully get out of plat and improve at this game. I don't know if you remember last session I basically had a shit build, to be frank. I mean, I was kind of doing random stuff. I didn't really have a lot of structure to the types of units I was building. My macro was decent, except for my larva spend. That was a big flaw you noticed. I'm just trying to remember where we were last time. That was over a month ago when we did our last coaching session.
Yeah. I mean, it really depends on how you want to go about doing it. Do you want to like jump into like another replay of yours now, or do you want to like maybe like create something again for you? Like maybe something new that you feel like you can step up to in terms of builds.
Yeah, that's something I'd be interested in. One of the things I would like to learn how to do more effectively is obviously at my level here in low plat. Actually, I think. Oh yeah, I'm down in gold.
You're in gold now.
I've been playing very bad lately. I am gold MMR now.
Okay, that's all good.
So I guess maybe not. I'm really curious how to effectively spend my available attention to potentially do some Muta play. I know I've occasionally thrown out Mutas against my friends and had a total blast, but my macro just goes to shit because I'm spending way too much time microing.
Yeah, I can do my best. If you really are dead set on mutas, I can do my best to give you a guideline how to do that. But that is a unit that's a unit that has a never-ending scale of skill. There are some units that have a scale where it's like they're kind of limited. They have a skill ceiling essentially, but a muta is literally just it never ends. So, and it also the better attention to detail you put into the muta, the harder your macro is going to be. So it's kind of like a balance of not, for you, and if you're in gold now, or like, we're at the verge of plat gold, whatever, it's going to be a balance of doing a timing and then just fucking not losing the mutas, but also not allocating a lot of time to the mutas. Like
Wow.
it's like I would not tell you to micro the mutas as much as you can because it's so fucking hard to micro mutas and also not lose them, but at the same time not fuck your macro up because that unit is super fragile. It can die in a matter of 1 second to many things in this game. Oh, Thors, I'm dead. Oh, Widowmines, oh, I'm dead. Oh, 20 fucking Stim Marines, I'm dead. Oh, a bunch of Phoenix, I'm dead. Oh, Archons and Storm, I'm dead.
Yeah, I definitely feel that.
Like, yeah, it's just, it's an unforgiving unit if you fuck it up at all.
So maybe not learn about mutas. I guess more generally, you sent me, I have it in my notes here. You sent me a great 17 hatch, 18 pool, 20 gas, and then the 2 queens. Get out the roaches, eat roaches pretty quick. Pretty much what you do in Bronze to GM. I'm pretty comfortable continuing to run that. I guess the thing I've been struggling with most on the ladder is just going off my race report. I'm doing pretty good against Terran. Terran is very represented at this level, so I have the most practice against Terran.
Nice.
I really struggle in the mirror matchup, and then I pretty much am gonna get shreked by a Protoss if I come across a Protoss on the ladder.
Just know too. I mean, if you do really have your heart set, I don't want to just like this. What I want to say here, I don't want to make you lose your muta confidence. Essentially, like if you really want to try it, we totally can. And I can because I can already think of ways that I can make something like mutas, like for instance, techniques you could use which could help you start learning how to use mutas. I'm actually not super opposed to that. I mean, I do think it's going to be harder, but I think that if you get better at it, it'll feel fucking hard right now. but it might actually take you, make your life a little bit easier once you get to diamond. Basically, whenever you start really learning how to micro, it's gonna be fucking hard. Because it's not just like, oh well, this is how you micro the unit. This is how you micro the unit, and also not fuck your macro up at the same time. And doing those together is really fucking hard in StarCraft. So if you want to, we can definitely go about that route. And the reason why I'm kind of telling you that is because, for instance, if you say my weakest matchup is ZvZ, mutas are actually fucking amazing in that matchup.
Really?
Yeah. I love mutas and ZvZ. Mutas and ZvZ are my boys. But again, mutas and ZvZ for high level, they, like I said before, it's a unit that can scale nonstop. There are certain units in this game that work like that. Like a Phoenix is like that. An Oracle is like that. A Muta is like that. You can definitely see a clear difference of someone who's very good with it and someone who is not good with it. But yeah, I mean, if you want to, like, I'm still, the offer's still on the table. We could take this into a Muta lesson if you want to get ideas on how to actually macro at the same time.
You know what? If you think that is a viable route, it's something I could reasonably run on the gold plat ladder and not completely fuck my macro up. Let's go for it. Otherwise, if you think it's better to...
Okay, let me just explain it, and then you can tell me if this sounds good to you, because I'll give you a guideline on how it would go.
Sweet.
I'm going to give you some methods, basically, on how to macro, and it's something you're going to have to just sequentially do with your hand. It's like that your keyboard hand, essentially, is going to be the one that does this. And it's going to be rhythm based, where every time you have a lull in the fight, where like you disengage, essentially, you can actually go back to your base and do the actual major part of macro, which is like, for instance, injecting your base. But otherwise, it's going to be very, very, very specific about how you attack with your Muta, like where to go, essentially, like what's important, and then like what buttons to push on your keyboard, essentially, while you do that. That's about it. It's a very basic Muta. It's not going to be flashy shit where it's like, all right, this is how you split your Mutas. This is how you dive this is how you micro against this army. This is how you micro against this army. This is how you split Mutas. Nothing. It's going to be nothing like that. It's just going to be what's important to attack and how do you macro while you attack. Just baseline Muta, because teaching you like micro techniques on Mutas is going to be, that's like hard as fuck for Masters players.
Sounds good.
So do you want to go into that kind of a lesson?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's try it.
All right.
Let's try it out.
I guess we can just make you a build. Firstly, let's. Okay. I'm on the wrong account. My bad. Let me log in and log out again, or log out, log in again, so I can get on the right account, so it's easier to message me.
Yeah, I already have you on ViBE lol.
Yeah, I'm on like my other account on this. It's like, how you have two accounts on one account. I'm on like my second, because it's like the Oceanic version.
I didn't even know you could do that until I saw you at the login screen like 5 minutes ago when you're telling your Hearthstone story.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't seen the video. Was he just being like a dick?
Oh, he was basically, he was laughing at how I was playing, and he's like, does he not know?
Oh.
Does he not realize? He doesn't know when he can do this. I was like, yeah, obviously I fucking do, but I mean, I'm like not really fully focused in this game.
Yeah, I hope that was just his regular sarcasm coming through.
I don't think he's genuinely being serious, but at the same time,
but his fans don't know that because, yeah, you already know.
Yeah, no, but I've gotten like 30 or 40 questions about that already by now, so it's great. I get questioned every day, like, ViBE, are you a fucking idiot? Yeah, I don't know how to play this game.
Damn, dude.
All right, so just toss me leader, and I'll make the game.
Sweet.
All right. So I'll do an example for you really fast. I'll not only do the build example for you, but I'll give you like a guideline example as to like what's important.
Great.
With the Muta. All right. What am I doing? There we go. That's what I want to do. Okay, so I'll do a ZvZ. This build will be, it's just gonna be safe Mutas to open, and I already have an idea about how I want to do this for you. I think it'll be really good, especially for gold. And then from here, I'll just tell you how to micro Mutas. tell you how.
Sounds good.
Okay. So, the way it's gonna start is we're obviously gonna scout with an Overlord. I'm gonna just give you like a crash course of like a good safe opener and like Overlord timings and shit like that. This will help you as well against like early pools. So anyone who does like a 12 pool to you, it's going to, you know, make your life a little easier if you do it this way. But essentially what we're going to do is we're going to go for a 13 Overlord into, you know, just making more drones. We're going to go for a 16 hatch. 16 hatch is going to be nice. You definitely want to go 16 hatch if you don't already do it against Zerg because of the whole dynamic of when a hatchery is building, it does not have armor. And when a hatchery is done, it does have armor. So getting the hatchery down at a good time before, so you know, if you get early pooled, it'll be done as the lings start hitting it. It makes your hatchery last like 20% longer.
That's an interesting question I have for you then, because in the build you gave me last month, which was kind of just a general ladder build.
Okay, yeah, it was just a Zerg.
It was a general ladder build, and they are used to just a 17 hatch. Should I be adjusting that to a 16 pretty much blindly?
You can do it against every matchup if you want to. 16 and 17 are kind of interchangeable, honestly.
Interesting.
But 17's a tiny bit more economical, and I figured in Gold League, which is pretty realistic, it's rare that people are like that fucking aggressive in Gold League, and even if they are, a lot of times they like make lings and they stop for 8 seconds in their base and then they go to your base with it. Like people do that kind of stuff all the time. So every second is not as critical in lower leagues as it is in a like upper, like GM, Masters, whatever. But anyways, what we've done is you can just do 16 if you want to. But what we did this game is we did 16 hatch, 18 gas, 17 pool. We droned all the way to 19, and now we're stopping larva spinning until about 1:59 to 2 minutes. If we were to see lings with our first Overlord right now, which would be very realistic, we would make nothing but lings as soon as the pool's done. But if we don't see lings by, if we do not see lings by, you know, the 2 minute mark, we can make drones. Because now you know you're not getting early pooled, because your first Overlord would have caught it by now. And now, now I would say you can make, keep your drones on gas, but you can make like a Zergling speed upgrade. And I would, honestly, because what I'm going to tell you to do is pretty greedy, I want you to build a spine crawler. Just in ZvZ, not every game, not every race. Sorry, don't use this build for every matchup. Like don't build a spine for every matchup. But against Zerg, yeah, build it. So this is a Zerg versus Zerg build. Keep that in mind. And then so because again the reason why is because I don't want you to be so focused on like I have to get the perfect scout. Like if you fuck it up, you have a spine to fall back on. And it'll make sense as well in a second here as to what I'll tell you to do after this. Now I want you to take a layer with as soon as you get your larva spin and you have all your, you know, you're good to go. Go ahead and take your layer. And then once you have all your your larva inject will pop off. Once you get like a good saturation on your natural, I'll have you take like we're talking like 10, 11, 12 drones. Take 1 gas. Spend all your larva. Spend all those bad boys. As soon as you do, make a roach warren. And I know I'm not telling you to go roaches here, but it's just in case you get all in. And then once your larva's all spent and they start popping and you have 2 fully saturated mineral lines, go ahead and take the last 2 gases. So we're going to go up to 4 gases now. Keep making drones. This is why this spine will help you a lot, is because if you overdo this, then you will not die. If you would have seen like, oh, he's moving out with like 5, 8, 12 roaches right now, whatever, you could make roaches at any point in time and just start making roaches as soon as your roach warren's done. Because if he goes for a roach all in, you got to realize as well, it's not going to be like at 2 minutes. It's going to be more around 3 or 4 minutes if he does like a roach all into you. So you'll totally have a roach warren up. But now if we needed to, we can make roaches. If we don't need to, we can just go back now into making lings and banes. Okay, that's all our build. So far our build has been defensive droning with a spine into a roach warren with no roaches unless we get all in. So it's just in case you get all in mechanism here. And now we're going to go into a 3rd base. Once we start our speedlings, because we already have speed upgrade, which is fine. But now we're going to actually start our 3rd base because we're fully saturated on our bases. And we're just making lings now and lings and overlords And you want to make these as fast as you can, again, because the whole larva rule, which is you don't want to waste your larva. Like, make your lings as ASAP. And then once your next inject pops off, that is really close to a spire, which is going to honestly be this next inject. You can save that inject round to make your mutas with. Just make sure you're not supply blocked. Always give yourself like a 20 supply cushion when you're ready to start mutas. So like right now, we can start saving larva for the spire. And then the second you start your, like you actually start your mutas, and your lings honestly don't even need to attack. You can just do something like this, where you're like, okay.
Kind of posturing with them.
Well, like you can scout the map, like one ling go to his third, one ling go to his other third, and stop. Like just, that's it. Now what we're gonna do, now that we just started mutas, we also started a weapon upgrade on the spire. I want you to take a drone from like your natural and continue building your wall a little bit. Like you don't have to fully wall it, but just, it's nice in case you get all in and you need to like actually wall it off. Make a Bane nest. Just make a Bane nest. And we're going to use this later. Now you have 8 mutas. I want you to rally all your hatcheries to your third base. And this is what I want you to do. Put your mutas in their own control group, okay? Do not pair them with the Zerglings. And now I want you to attack towards his base, like right in front of like where your overlords are. Like, don't actually go into his base blindly. Just go to the front of his base. And while you're doing this, 5 SD. 5 SD. 5 SD. Check your bases if you can inject them really fast while you're on your way, and then as soon as your drones arrive at your third base, take gases. 5 SD, 5 SD, 5 SD. Okay, now your mutas are at his base. Let's take a second and just check your bases one final time as you get here and be like, okay, let's inject. Make sure my bases are good. Grab some drones at your third base and put them on the gas so we can properly saturate that. And now grab your mutas, and you can, because we just did this, on mutas, attack, like right click, attack, whatever. Just like follow him. Attack, move the ground, right click where he's going. Attack, move the ground, right click where he's going. Attack, move the ground, right click where he's going. Attack, move the ground, right click where he's going. You just literally alternate this over and over and over. And between alternating this, I want you to 5S whatever the fuck you need to make. This is the part where it's harder to macro and micro at the same time. So what we just did was we just made a bunch of overlords. So I could not be supply blocked forever. Now, if you have a lot of money, go ahead and like if you have 1,000 minerals, just take another hatchery, and go back to your Bainling nest now. Once there's like a lull in the fight here, go ahead and start Bane speed. Get ready to start level 2 weapons, and then you can make another round of mutas and add them into your muta control group. So I literally went 5S muta while all the eggs were selected. I hit shift 2, so now I have mutas with 8 mutas in it and 9 eggs in it, which are going to become 9 more mutas. Now I can go back to his base, and while I go to his base, and I know there's like 7-8 seconds I have to wait. Go back to my base, inject, 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 transfer drones. Okay, 5S Zergling now, because I spent most of my gas on everything, and now, because I'm not actually killing him yet, I'm just containing him, which is what I want you to do. I want you to make Zerglings. If he was going mutas as well, you would want to make mutas, but if he's making roaches, hydras, Ling Bane himself, just make Zerglings and Banelings at this point. Once you, like, if you just keep containing him is the point I'm trying to tell you here. So you're not trying to kill him with mutas is my whole goal for you. It's just contain him with mutas. Keep making Zerglings. And you're just literally moving around his base, checking his thirds, checking for overlords, whatever. Go back to your base when you're not actually fighting something. Inject, inject, inject. Make Zergling.
That's definitely a good point for me to hear with not trying to make the win condition kill this guy with mutas, because that's one of the things I've run into in my games. That's
hard as fuck to do.
I'll try and go in for an all-in muta push because I'm like, oh yeah, I got this huge fucking muta cloud. I'm about to end this man's whole career, and then one widow mine and I'm dead. You know.
Well, so this is you got to realize too, the build I'm giving you as well. Just really keep this in mind. This is a ZvZ build.
Yeah.
So this is not something I'm going to be like, this is exactly optimal for ZVT, ZVP.
Is there a ZV everyone variant of this build, or is there a modification that could be made to this? Where I could run
less See how I'm making a bunch of Bainlings right now? This is not for trolling. This is legit what I want you to do in ZvZ.
Really?
You would not do this in ZVT and ZVP. Was ZVT and ZVP? I would say probably don't use mutas yet in ZVT and ZVP. Just use this in ZvZ only.
Keep running the Roach Hydra build?
Yes, because in ZVT and ZVP, you kind of need to use your... You kind of actually need to use your fucking mutas better than what I'm doing here. But in ZvZ, you can totally get away with this. And now all I did is I A-moved his natural with the Bainlings, and I A-moved the main. And then you can bring your mutas in behind and just like focus like whatever needs to be focused. But don't feel the need to dive with the mutas. like finish off the hatchery if you can, or kill excess overlords or whatever. But don't dive his army. Just contain him, and while you're doing this, don't feel the need to like micro your Ling Bane at all. Let it, whatever happens, happens. Go back to macroing. You just contain with the mutas. If you can just never let him expand, he's fucked. Like, that is how mutas work so well in ZvZ, is they can starve your opponent. So it's, you know, that's what their design is in this matchup. And I would say you can keep making mutas if you ever have like a lot of excess minerals and gas. You can keep making them up to a point when you have like 30. 30 is max, I would say. Don't make any more than 30.
Really?
Yeah. And the only time it would ever be acceptable to go above that is if your opponent's also going mutas. Then make as many as you can.
And would you go double Spire in that situation?
Never ever go double Spire ever in any
Really?
matchup ever.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
don't
shit.
ever do that. It's
gotta confess something, Chief. I have definitely gone double Spire every single time I've ever built an area army composition.
It puts way too much emphasis on the mutas to do shit, and if you're not hitting upgrade timings the way you should be, it's pointless. And it just slows down your muta count and your Bainley count. It's very gas expensive to go double Spire and double upgrades.
Oh,
and,
I feel it.
Yeah. So now I have another round of Lings, so while my mutas are posturing around, I'm literally just going inject, inject, inject. Again, because as I was telling you before, this is a very basic form of mutas. This is like all you're doing is never letting him expand. Every time he tries to take a third base, you just pop it. And another thing too, I didn't tell you to do, but I want you to do. When you start going into making Bainlings, I want you to actually get Overlord speed and make an Overseer. And the reason why I want you to do this is because if your opponent tries to spread creep, to have creep go to their third base or whatever and start spreading spores there, your Overseer can keep killing his creep tumors that he keeps trying to spread out of his base. Just never actually engage his army. Always kill his base and run away. Like, never let him expand beyond 2 bases. That's the whole plan for you. And then we can see I have another round of Bainlings and Zerglings. And we're ready to go with that. We can keep expanding as well. Like, if you look at my natural, for instance. Let's be like, oh, it's starting to mine out. Let's go and take another base while we keep containing my opponent. Let's not all in ourselves and just stay on shit economy ourselves the whole time. Let's keep making sure now we're going to go to a 5th base while he's still on 2 bases. And at this point now, I know my opponent because I can base it off my own bases. His main and natural look just like mine, probably. Maybe not his natural because his natural was late. But you get my point. Like, he's going to mine out just like I am. It's not like one person has more money than the other for no reason. So if I can just keep this up, I am just going to win the game. And I just literally, all I did is 1 A move, which is my Ling Bane, 1 A move the natural, shift A move the main. That's all I did. And while this is happening, I have the mutas that you know, they can follow it up if I want them to, and whatever. And then, you know, kill creep tumors out here if there were any, kill any excess buildings, kill overlords, just kill free kills, and then I can back off. Be like, cool. You know, like, just don't, if you know your opponent has nothing, obviously you can fight it, but I just don't want you to feel the need to be like, oh, there's like 40 Hydras, let's fucking take that fight, and then all your mutas die, and you're like, well, I just lost control. And now my opponent took a 3rd base. And now I'm like having to remake my mutas that are really expensive. Because the whole way this wins is you just starve your opponent out. You never let them expand. And then they just die repeatedly to your Ling Bane. That's all it is.
That is a juicy strategy.
And every time if they ever try to push you, if they ever try to push you with like Roach Ravager, you just do what I said, which is right click, A click, right click, A click, right click, A click, which is move command, attack command, move command, attack command. And you always do it on the ground. Don't ever be that guy that has like 10 Ravagers and 20 Roaches walking to his base, and you physically try to go A click, shift A click, shift A click, shift A click on every Ravager. Do not do that. Just fucking right click, A click, right click, A click, the ground, wherever he goes. Let your mutas do optimal damage on everything because you want to kill everything anyways. Don't try to just pick Ravagers off. You can do that later on. And even then, shift clicking is bad there because your mutas will always lose momentum. So all it is it's right click, A click, right click, A click, right click, A click. And the reason why it's not just A move, which is what someone else just said in chat, is again something called momentum. If you let your mutas just A click and that's it, they will always come to a stop every time they shoot their shot, and they will lose a lot of momentum every time that happens, and they will always let most of the whatever ground army it is run further away from you because you always come to a stop when you attack. But if you attack move and then you move command right after, like you just literally pace it about this fast. A click, right click, A click, right click, A click, right click, A click, right click. It's literally that fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's not A click, right click, like super fast where you're just spamming your keys as fast as you can. And it's also not A click, right click.
It's that pretty established cadence that you were voicing.
Like, just think about it in your head. Like, it's like just 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's about how fast it is. Where you just A click, right click, A click, right click, A click. Because what'll happen is your mutas will keep moving with the army and stay on top of them. They won't fall behind the back of the line. So it makes all of your mutas attack way more often. And it just maximizes your damage with mutas. And what you can do is, like, for every 5, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, like a third step of it, every like 5th time you do this, if you're getting all in, the 5th, or like, yeah, like just the extra step you add in occasionally will be the moment where you macro. That's it. You just add
freaking sick, dude.
Yeah, you just add in the macro element. Like, you don't have to do every single A click, right click, macro, A click, right click, macro. It's not like that crazy. It's A click, right click for like all of 10 seconds maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And then you macro on the 10th second. So you can spin that larva and make sure. And then just obviously it's as simple as, do I want to make mutas right now? Do I need to make some more? If the answer is yes, then obviously you can make some more. That's fine. If the answer is no, just make pure lings. And then if if you feel confident in the amount of mutas you already have, just make lings. And then the lings will, if it's defensively, you can make Ling Bane. If it's aggressively, you make Ling Bane. It's the same thing all the time.
And don't go double spire.
Ever.
Today I learned.
Yeah, it's that's something that's. I'll just say this: there's too many things that. Let's just say it like this instead. In Wings of Liberty, it used to be good. In Wings of Liberty, that was a good strategy because Carapace actually mattered for mutas in Wings of Liberty a lot more. But in Heart of the Swarm, or in Legacy of the Void, it doesn't matter as much now, and the reason why is because there are hard counter units to mutas that Carapace really fast isn't going to change. Like, what you want to do with mutas early game is you want to avoid these fucking things. You don't want to fight them. So getting Carapace incentivizes you're going to fight them, and getting Carapace also slows down your muta count, just in general, because it's not free. The shit causes a lot of gas. So you'd have like 5 less mutas than you would have otherwise, which means you could have maybe like, instead of having 27, you only have 22 mutas. And if your goal is to kill like a building or workers really fast, the more mutas you have in doing that, the faster you're going to kill those things. So it's pointless to get Carapace. It's actually counterproductive. Because like, it's not just like, obviously it's not just like, oh, 27 to 22. It's also like, what if you would have had 12 and now you only have 9 or something like that? Like, what if you went for 1 Carapace upgrade and mutas, which is actually 3.5, which is actually, it's considered as 4 because you can't have half a muta. So that half is actually just, you have to wait on a muta now. So instead of having 12, you'd only have like 8. Like, shit like this is important. That's a lot of damage you're missing out on if you just go for an armor upgrade. Because like, if you fly into a Widowmine, if you're flying to Thor's, like all those things I talked about, Carapace is not going to make you just win those fights now. The only way you win those fights is if you have overwhelming amounts of mutas versus something that counters mutas. We're talking like, oh, he's got 20 supply, but I have 80 supply. I have 4 times his supply and whatever in my muta to what his counter to muta is. Yeah, you could win that way. Like, it's possible. Like, you could beat 3 Thors with 40 mutas. That's very doable. But like, there are other things that it doesn't matter. Like, if you fight Storm or if you fight like Widowmines, for instance, and let's say you fly 40 mutas into Widowmines, like 7 Widowmines, it doesn't matter how many Carapace upgrades you have, they're all gonna die.
Yeah. When you're upgrading on single spire, are you alternating Carapace and damage or are you going straight damage?
Yep.
Just damage.
Yep, damage all the way to Hive with damage with level 3.
That's crazy. Good to hear.
Yeah, because your goal is to kill buildings and economy. You're sniping shit. You're just picking shit off that can't defend itself. You are not trying to fight real armies.
Cloud of glass cannons.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So and if you do fight a real army, you do not fight with mutas by themselves unless it's very obviously unfair for you in that fight, where it's like, oh, he only has 3 Hydras and I have 30 mutas. Yeah, no problem. But if it's like 40 Hydras and you have 30 mutas, don't just fly mutas in there because you're gonna get fucked.
Yeah, peepo piece out of there.
What you want to do is assist your mutas with Ling Bane. So if your opponent pushes you with pure anti-ground units, like Roach Ravager or whatever, you can A click, A right click, A click, right click, the whole thing we talked about. But if it's an all-in of like Hydra Queen, shit like that, just wait until your Ling Bane is ready to assist you, and then engage with all of it at once. So it'd be like, if you have 2 control groups, which is what I want you to do with this style, it'd be 1 A click, 2 A click. That's it. And then all you would do in this situation to micro Mutas and Ling Bane effectively is, while the fight is happening, make sure just before the fight starts you've spent all your injects as much as you can. Don't disregard it, because microing here should not be, because I know this game didn't have it, but I want to explain the situation because I want you to understand this concept. Microing when you have Ling Bane Muta versus an anti-air army on the ground, what you want to do in gold plat, if you're going to do this for yourself, is you want to A click him, like just A move his ass, and that's it, and make sure you macro the whole time. And just, you can watch the fight, but I want you to macro. So like before the fight starts, you can inject, and as the fight starts, you can look at the screen where the fight is, but I don't want you to stop macroing. I want you to keep making lings, keep making lings, keep making lings, keep making lings. You don't have to focus fire shit here. I don't even want you to micro your Bainlings and just move them into his Hydras or whatever. I just want you to fucking A-click him. And then as soon as your Ling Bane are thinning out, and they're like, you know, you're looking at the fight and you're like, okay, my Mutas are about to start taking a lot of damage now, because let's just say, hypothetically, if you don't run him over, you're like, oh, he's got a decent amount of anti-air still. And even though I probably could win this fight, it looks kind of scary. Like there's 20 Hydras left over, and some of them are like yellow or red, but there's still like 20 Hydras, or so, there's a clump of Hydras left over that looks kind of threatening. And I have like 25 Mutas, and all my Ling Bane are kind of gone now. Just back up and just make more Banes out of those Lings you just made out of your new macro, and just do a second round of Ling Bane with your Muta, and you will fucking crush. The whole point is, don't throw away all your Mutas and replace your Mutas. It's make the Mutas and retain them, and just keep expending wave after wave of Ling Bane, because Ling Bane is way cheaper.
It's good to hear.
Yeah,
I like that. I think that's a game plan I can definitely run at my level and not get completely bumfucked.
So it's going to, and again, just understanding the job of the Muta is literally just to kill shit that can't defend itself, and then don't let him expand. Just keep containing his economy. Always, and then obviously don't forget to expand yourself. Like, whenever you have a moment where you're just waiting and you're like, okay, well, I'm not actually diving his base, because this is where Muta players that are lower level, this is where they fall apart, is when they just stop macroing for like 7 minutes, because they keep trying to find an entrance into their opponent's base that is undefended. And they're like, okay, go left. Okay, there's like something there. Okay, go right. Okay, something there. Okay, go left. Something there. Okay, go right. Something there. Okay, go left. 7 minutes goes by, and they're like, okay, I'm still trying to find somewhere to do damage. I keep poking like an Evo chamber or like an Overlord here and there, but like I can't actually get into his base because he keeps zoning me with spores that are just always in the same spot. And I'm like trying to, like, I just can't break it because there's like queens there or whatever. Stop. Just don't be that guy. Don't be the guy that feels like you have to force Mutas to win the game. And you will feel like Mutas actually will work so much better for you at lower tiers. And obviously, Mutas can eventually break your opponent if you get really good with them later on, and you can macro as well. The trick is, I know I've talked a lot, but this is the final piece of it. The trick is just make sure your macro does not fall behind while going Mutas, because making Ling Bane wave after wave after wave after wave is how you're going to do this. It's just the Mutas.
Yeah, that shit's expensive.
Yeah, the Mutas guarantee you're going to have an economy lead over your opponent because they don't let him expand. And if he does expand, you kill expansions with Ling Bane, not Mutas. Like, Mutas assist while Ling Bane engage, but they don't. Mutas aren't what just does it by themselves. They're not going to solo the buildings. All right, so out of everything we just talked about, how does that feel? How you feel about that?
That feels good and usable at my level. I know it's going to take a lot of practice because it's a style I've run in less than 10% of my games this last season. But I think it's doable.
All right.
I see the chat is pointing out, and I'm agreeing. This is going to be very difficult in gold/plat level, but
how about I think
it'll be fun.
How about you try it on me right now? And I will not go Mutas. I'm gonna do like gold level just shit. Macro of just like roaches and stuff, and I want you to try this build against me.
So let me pull this up again. 13 Overlord, 16 Hatch.
Yep.
Do you remember when I take a gas here?
Yeah,
I lost you at some point, so I stopped taking
it's
notes.
so 13 Overlord is it's always no matter what game you play, it's always 13 Overlord. So
goes with that thing.
Yeah, 16 Hatch, 18 gas, 17 pool.
17 pool. Oh, this is my old build. Cool. And then you take
when you start circling
you
speed.
Do your queens.
Yeah, you like so queens are always made the second the pool's done, no matter what.
Yeah.
So yeah, when that's done, you just insta start your queens. But your first 100 gas goes to circling speed. And it's, again, just in case you get all in really early. That's why you do it. And it also allows you to scout with lings if you want to get a scout off as well. I'm not going to tell you that you have to, but later on it'll be useful. It'll also be something you can grow into. So anyways, first 100 gas goes ling speed. Make your second gas, and pair this with a Roach Warren when you have all of your larvae spent and you are about more than halfway saturated on your natural, which is like 10 drones or so. Doesn't have to be perfect, just around 10 drones in your natural, and you have no larvae sitting there. Throw down a Roach Warren and throw down a second gas.
Second gas plus Roach Warren
and then
half saturation natural.
And then take your last 2 gases to go to 4 gases in total. When your what's it called? When your both mineral lines are now like around 16. So you have 2 gases saturated and 2 mineral lines around 16. It'll be around like maybe like 45 to like 50 supply in total ish, like somewhere right around there. That's when you take your final 2 gases, and this is around the time when your layer should be almost done. Because also your second, I didn't say this, your second 100 gas is your layer. So, and you can take your layer, you know, as soon as you have it, and you get it. Just know this, okay? I want you to make sure. I don't want to make this sound confusing because I know I'm kind of bouncing around. I just want you to know what the priorities are. Don't fucking waste time on the shit that's normal and mandatory, which is like, for instance, like your 13 Overlord. That is normal and mandatory. Things like making queens, those are normal and mandatory. Like, do not fucking be like, well, I gotta wait on that. Like, that is required as soon as you have it. But the things that can be postponed a little bit and like a little altered here and there, where it's like, I'm not gonna say it's based off of what you scout. I'm just gonna say it's based off of you fucking it up in case you do. Where it's like, oh, well, whoops, I waited an extra 10 seconds here. Oh, my bad. That's okay. It's not the end of the world. But these are the things that, like gas timings. Okay? Like, if you fuck that up a little bit, it's not the end of the world. Like, for instance, gas 2, 3, 4. Gas 1 is pretty obvious. It's easy. It's part of the initial opener, which is never going to get fucked up. But gases 2, 3, 4 might. Because you might be like, oh, a Zergling's in my base. Oh, shit, I didn't take my gas for a while. Those gases, all they are, the difference of, is are you going to have 10 mutas? Are you going to have 9 mutas? Are you going to have 8 mutas? Maybe 7. In the first bit of mutas you make. That's what it really means. Because obviously if you don't fuck it up, you'll have more mutas. If you do fuck it up, you'll have a little bit less mutas. But your Spire is still going to be the same speed.
And then, so I'm assuming Spire is taken after the third has been dropped?
No. Spire is taken as soon as your layer is done.
Spire as soon as layer is done.
So, like, when it comes to tech path, this is the hardest thing for people in StarCraft to wrap their head around when they're starting to learn the game. Like, when they're really getting, like, efficiency down. If you tech to something and you have a dead time in that tech, it's a bad build. Like, you need to tech for a purpose if you're teching. Otherwise, if you don't tech, then the purpose is obviously more minerals, like more hatcheries, more drones, stuff like that. So if we're going to rush a layer, you do not delay the Spire.
Good to know.
So the build will be first 100 gas goes Zergling speed, second 100 gas goes layer. So just again, another real quick crash course of the build, just to give you a final refresher before we start this. 16, 18, 17, hatch gas pool.
Yep.
First gas goes to a ling speed. Pair starting ling speed with making a spine crawler. Take gas number 2 around halfway saturation on the natural, 10 or so, like 8 to 10. Take gases 3 and 4 when you're fully saturated. Start your layer at the next 100 gas after ling speed. And always make larva your priority all the time. So queens start as soon as possible. Don't supply block if you can help it. And always, always, always spend your larva before all these things I just said. Because if for instance, if you're like, I'm ready to make a spine collar now, but I have 3 larvae sitting there and I have 125 minerals, don't fucking make that spine and then have 5 larvae sitting there by the time you can spend it. Make those larvae and then make that spine. Like, make your larva first. It's just the general guideline of what you should think about it is those things that I just said. And you should commit it to like memory to be like, I should do that right about now, but I need to make sure I spin my larva.
Yeah, that was definitely something I had with the last build you gave me, where like I made the mistake of having it written down and immediately trying it on ladder, but it was like, oh, this tech tree you've given me is actually different than what I'm used to. I need to run this against AIs like 10 times before this is loosely down in muscle memory.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And then
try it out. I have it written down right here.
And then you take the last thing you do is you keep expanding beyond 2 bases. Like, go to your 3rd, you go to your 4th, you go to your 5th. You do these extra bases once you start going into the Ling Bane phase. And you're going to start making, or not really Ling Bane essentially, but like the Ling phase. Like when you start making Lings, when you're fully saturated on your natural and your main base, you start, making Lings. You can that's when you take your 3rd base. And then once you actually make your Mutas and you have your Mutas out and your Lings out and shit like that, you have control right now, you drone your 3rd base. And once you drone your 3rd base, you can start a 4th base. Once your main starts mining out, you can start a 5th base. And so on and so on and so on.
One question, I didn't get this down, you may have said it. When does the Bainley nest get dropped?
You throw it in the Bainley nest after you make your first round of Mutas.
Perfect.
So your Roach Warren goes down with gas number 2. And you're just in case you get all in. That's the whole reason why you do it. Otherwise, you don't make roaches at all. And your Bainling nest goes down after you start all your gas on your first round of Mutas plus a weapon upgrade on the Spire. And then your next gas goes into a Bane nest, and then you start Bane speed when the Bane nest is done. So you can contain with Mutas, and then you can follow up that contain with Ling Bane aggression that can just break them down.
Excellent.
All right, you good? You good to try it out?
All right, ready to try it out and flub a whole bunch. Let's do this thing.
Good luck, dude. And if you have a question about the build too, while you're doing it, just feel free to ask. Like, when do I do this? I'll go ahead and tell you really quick.
Excellent.
All right, yo, chat. Guys, by the way, everyone who supported during this coaching lesson, I do appreciate it. Thank you very much, guys. I know I typed to most of you in chat. I don't usually like to let the bot talk while my student or I'm trying to talk to the student because it makes the VOD super fucked up. It's like, so this is what you do, and Brian's like, hey fucker, welcome to this, blah, blah, blah. So it's hard to make him hear or me hear or whatever, but I do appreciate the support, guys. Much love. But yeah, I'm just gonna go for my own build of Bronze GM here, like 16, 18, 20. And then yeah, I'm gonna go roaches and hopefully he controls me.
Hey fucker. Welcome to this la la la.
Yeah. See, I don't mind it now when I'm not talking to him or he's not talking to me, but because I'm muted right now on Discord. But yeah, I just don't want to make it like he just says a point that's important to him, and then I'm like, I didn't even hear that. I'm like, yeah, cool, dude. Okay, let's go ahead and bypass that. Do roaches counter mutas? No. Well, so it depends how you play, right? And this is super basic. So talking about the methods of how roaches can counter mutas and how mutas can counter roaches, and when you break it down to a super basic element, mutas counter roaches because it's a ground unit that can't hit air versus the air unit that can hit ground. So breaking down super simply, yes, mutas are better. We're not going to go into the whole aspect of how to counterattack and punish muta builds with roaches and how to run by and how to multi-prong pressure and how to flood, and these things are irrelevant right now, honestly, for the Roach user. The Roach user needs to just do beta GM. Literally just try to out macro it. So it's honestly just that simple for the Roach player. Don't try to learn micro techniques to fight mutas in Gold League, because it's the more micro you do, the more fucked you are, which is exactly why the Muta build that I told him to do is super basic. Like, I'm not telling him to micro the mutas at all unless he's defending it all in, which you have to do then. But otherwise, he does not micro mutas at all aggressively. He just contains. Also, Trapezoider, when you come back and watch this VOD, don't ever fly your Overlord there in ZvZ. I don't want to say it to you right now in the game. You'll hear this later, but I don't want to distract you right now. This is a horrible spot to do this in ZvZ, because I'll easily kill your Overlord every time. So try not to do that in the future. Punish him? I'm not going to kill it, because I don't want to fuck his build up. Like, your Overlord should be like out in the front of where, like the front area, not against the guy's resources. Because my queen will always kill that thing. It works in ZVT and ZVP because they don't open with queens and overlords. Queens and overlords though can kill enemy overlords really easy. Because I can see high ground and I can kill it. So we're going into, you know, beta GM bullshit here. I hope he breaks me with Banes. I'm not gonna micro against Banes at all because no one in Gold League is gonna micro against Banes.
Oh.
Yo, Jcrin, thank you so much, dude, for the thank you so much, dude, for the fucking 21-month resub. Welcome back, man. Thank you, thank you. Okay, his meter should be coming over here pretty soon. So Beta GM, I'm just gonna let you guys know something, a little secret here, for the way this game's gonna go. Beta GM build is probably gonna smash his ass right now, if you can just do Beta GM build, which is why I do think Beta GM build is superior. This is why I teach Beta GM build, not Muta builds. But for the purpose of a Muta build, I do think I do think it can work though. Versus your average gold player who doesn't do Beta GM. But I mean, I already have so much Beta GM shit out there, and I've already taught this guy Beta GM shit before. So if he wants to fall back on that, he can. But yeah, I do 100% believe Beta GM is superior. And I don't think I'm playing this game super crazy. This is very realistic, and yeah, I will say the mutas are already pretty late. So he's gonna have a very hard time punishing me, because if I had to guess, I would say the supply right now for him is probably only like 70. Like, he needed to already be pressuring me with mutas and not allowing me to have as many drones as I do. Is this coaching? This is coaching, yeah. So we're going to break his build down after this game and try to help him figure out where he's going wrong. Because it's definitely gone wrong a little bit so far. Like, he waited for both Ling and Muta together, and he's going with both of them. And I told him not to do this. Like, it's his first time doing it. I totally understand. It's hard as fuck to, like, just perfect the build. Like, oh, yeah, you gave me a crash course. Now let me just be a pro at it. Like, I get it. It's fucking rough. It's hard.
Sequences spawn. Swarm. Swarm forces under attack. Swarm forces under another field depleted.
That was good.
Mineral cluster expanded. Sequences spawn. Swarm mutated. Swarm forces under attack.
Shit.
Swarm clusters under attack. Assault. Swarm forces under attack.
See how he's trying to win Mutas now? This is the mistake that a lot of people make. He's about to lose everything, probably. So I don't want him to do this. I'll start making spores now since he's starting to fly in my base. He's like, I'm glad he left. He's putting too much emphasis on the Muta.
Expended.
I'm gonna go attack his base now. Like, he should have been Ling Bane busting me the whole time already. So he's definitely kind of missing the beat here a little bit. We'll definitely talk about it, help him break it down and shit. It's just, it's hard because I know it's in everyone's fucking DNA with mutas to be like, I have to kill shit with mutas the whole time. Ah!
GG.
All right, let's. I'll invite you to the replay, and we'll talk about it really fast. We'll give you like a final crash course of the build, dude.
Boy, oh boy, dude. That's crazy, dude.
So just talking, because all I did to you was the beta gym build. For what I would say is like I try to make it like a gold standard. I might have gone maybe a little bit faster than normal, but I didn't spread creep at all really.
Homie, I literally didn't even pay attention to what the fuck you were doing until you started attacking my overlord with your queen, and I was like, oh, I have an opponent. And then I looked like a minute later, and you were already at a third base, and I was still over looking at my fucking build order, barely expanding to a third. Like,
yeah,
I was way slow that game.
Yeah, that's all
that was
good.
crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, from playing against it, the mutas felt really late, and then when you actually attacked the mutas, you attacked me with mutas and lings together, and you, I would say that's okay to do that. Only, but I also, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like you're using one control group as well.
Starts with F2 and ends with A click.
Okay, so this is why I say mutas are harder. And just know you can always fall back to bronze GM style, which is exactly what I did against you. And that's what we talked about last time, right? When we coached Breed GM. Yeah. So you can always fall back to that if you want to, but for mutas to work properly, the first round of mutas, it makes sense if you're gonna attack with your zerglings as well. If it's going to be a base that's like undefended, where you're like, yeah, okay, we're gonna definitely just go ahead and kill that easy. Let's say it's like a building hatchery, nothing's defending it. Yeah, by all means, go ahead and bring your lings as well, kill that thing. But if it's already a setup base that has units sitting at it, don't send your lings at it. You don't ever send lings by themselves to attack. You would then just go, okay, well, let's go Ling Bane and break the fucking base with Banes.
Well, that's the other thing, is I forgot to put down my Bainley nest.
Yeah,
I was like, I was gearing for an attack because I saw I was way behind on bases, and like I had fundamentally failed to contain you, which is the whole point of this style.
Yeah,
so I was like,
exactly. That's why the mutas have to be a lot faster. If the mutas are faster, you would have caught me while I was making drones and roaches, because I made 66 drones and roaches. And you go 2 base muta, so you definitely should be catching me in the phase while I'm making drones. And then if you do, that fucks my whole build up. Suddenly I have a lot of problems. But you didn't send your mutas at my base until after I already had hydras, which is like I was already like at 130 supply or something when you attacked me. So that's the timing of the spire needs to be fast, which is why I said the first 100 gas goes link speed, the second 100 gas goes spire, and you immediately throw it on a spire as soon as you have a layer. Like, you don't delay that, and you make the mutas the second the spire is done. Like the tech path rush, that needs to be respected essentially.
Yeah, this definitely requires a whole lot of APM and a whole lot of brain cells that haven't fully developed in my young StarCraft player mind yet. And that's I definitely respect what you were saying about how difficult this actually is.
Yeah, I'm glad you. I was gonna take you back to that beginning of the lesson right there and say that's not fucking easy to do a harass-based build that also requires you to not fuck up your macro. It is way more challenging than just simply macroing.
Well, it looks so much. Like many things, it looks very easy on the outside, but actually trying to execute something like that is so fucking hard, dude.
Yeah, it's because if you miss your timings, it's just going to fall apart. You can't miss your windows of opportunity.
Well, you'll notice here in my main, I miss a whole bunch of timings. I didn't even put down the spine crawler until it was way too late, but I was like, it's part of the build. I want to make sure I start these habits right.
If you don't build the spine, just know it's risky, because I'm telling you to be greedy. Like, if you have a spine, it'll help you not die if someone does all in you really early. We're talking about people who like speedling flood. So I mean, it'll help you against people like that. But if you didn't build it against me, it's actually going to help you a little bit because it's just a cost that you don't actually need because I didn't all in you. But this is you're going to get all in a lot on ladder. I already know you will. Everybody does. So
it happens all the time.
Yeah, if you skip the spine against someone who does all in you, you'll die with this build. You will just die. So you'll learn how to respect that if you die a couple times and you're like, fuck. Okay, well, I got to stop skipping the spine because otherwise I'm going to die every time.
Yeah.
And also, I was saying as well in the VOD, if you go back and watch the VOD, you'll hear me talk about it. Don't ever put your overlords where you did. Like, I know mine kind of dove in your base too, which was not the greatest by me, but I pulled it back before your cream was out. But overlord placement should be the exits of the base. So on this map, there's 3 exits. There's a middle ramp, there's a bottom, and there's a top on both sides of the map. You want your overlord to be kind of where mine is. See how mine is on your base, like kind of over the ramp. You could have another overlord that's over the 3rd base area, that sees all the big ass area right there, and you can have another overlord that's over the other 3rd base area. So you can see all exits of the base, and you're not close to creep to die. Because your overlord,
what you also didn't see is that I sent all of my other overlords up into the very top left corner of the map because I just was trying not to think about that. That's another thing where it's like, I was like, I do not have enough brain power to place these overlords in the right spots. I'm just going to send them to the top left of the map.
It's just the whole concept of it is just look at the exits of the base. So for instance, let me just say it like this. You put the first 3 where the I'll green box it 2 for the VOD if you watch the VOD. One overlord could be like right here, literally right here at your 3rd base. It's like almost in the center, but like it covers the whole width of like the exits of where the links could go, and it also covers the exit of where links could go if it's right there. It sees all the if the links go if we're talking about your natural, if the links go north out of that and go up to the 3rd that way and then leave, I could easily see them no matter where they go from that angle. If my overlord is sitting in a well-rounded spot that has no fog of war on the exits of your area up there. Now the other overlord could be right about right there. If we're talking about going south out of your natural now, if my overlord is just slightly north of that hatchery box location, I can see. I can see the wall that is to the left of where the overlord would be. I can see the mineral line and the gas on the top of it. I can see if you hug the wall to the left, basically. I could easily see if you hug the wall to the north, which is like the ice crystals around the little elevated area where the overlord could sit up there too. But I can see basically if you go down, if you go up, anywhere over here, easily I can see no matter if you decide to go south out of your natural, no matter where you go, I will see you. And then obviously the overlord and the ramp where it is now. If you go straight across the map, I'll see you that way. Now, if you take the fucking the 3rd base north of your natural, if my overlord is sitting where it was, which is a little bit more aggressive, I will easily see you take a 3rd base. I could back that overlord up now to the other side of the rocks on the choke point, which would be like right here on the. Again, we're talking about the VOD green box. If my overlord goes there now because you took this hatchery on the north of your natural, if I sit on the opposite side of the rocks, I can still see you leave through those rocks. And my Overlord is no longer compromised. It's not sitting above your creep. Like, it's not easily going to die. You'd have to walk off creep to go kill it, which is going to be harder for you to do that. Because it's also going to be riskier for you to do that, because the more you do that, the later on the game goes, the more likely that I could kill you with, like, speedlings or mutas or... Like, for you, for instance. Like, you have access to units now. So if one queen walks in the middle of nowhere at, like, 6 minutes, you could definitely kill it later on. And then same thing when, like, Hydras come into play or whatever. Like, things could start killing Overlords. But, yeah, you get the point. Now, if you took the bottom base... This is where it gets a little more tricky. If you took the bottom base, that is, you know, to the right of your natural, instead of, so you're not going in a straight line, you're going more of a triangle base formation. There are two exits to this base. The correct way to fix this would be to now bring another Overlord, and now, so if you're taking this hatchery and my Overlord was sitting right above it, I could now fly my Overlord to maybe either the north or the south side, because there's two exits here. I can just cover one of them with my current Overlord there, and bring another Overlord to bring over to cover the other exit. You just want your vision to be covering the exit of every aspect of the base.
In case they're trying to do a secret Ling flood out of any of the sides.
Because that does happen a lot. Or people do like, hey, I'm going to send like 10 roaches down there and just let that go attack you later. And then we'll, you know, fucking have the middle of the map, send another attack this way. Like, it happens all the time in ZvZ. And if you don't have vision nets covered like that, where you just like, let's just say you have one Overlord at my base and you're fucking blind as hell otherwise, you have no way to read ZvZ. This is not something I think you have to do in Gold League. Like, if you don't do Overlord things like I'm talking about right now, it's not like, oh, well, in Gold League it's required. It's not. But in Diamond and Masters, it starts to become more required then. Especially Masters. And it's like mandatory as fuck in GM. Because if you don't have vision of your opponent's base, of their exits, and you don't have mini-map awareness to watch them flood you over and over and over and over through timings, you have no idea if you should keep making units or drones. Because I'm going to tell you right now, like, every gold player that plays ZvZ, I guarantee every time an attack is happening in, like, the Ling Bane versus Ling Bane phase, when people like to play, like, pros, they're all, or, like, Roach versus Roach, like, early game pressure, basically, where they're like, I'm going to kill your third. No, I'm going to kill your third, but we're both taking thirds. Basically, not beat a GM is what I'm saying. That's, like, super aggressive playstyles. Both of those players, I guarantee, they're like, do I make drones right now? I don't know. Do I make units right now? Maybe. I don't know. I don't feel safe. I don't know how to read this game. I don't know what the hell's happening. It's because they don't fucking read production of their opponent at all. They don't do any type of Zergling scouts, which gives them no information. And they don't have Overlord spread, which gives them no flood information from their opponent while the attack is happening. Because what a high-level Berserk will do is they will watch your base as you attack them. They will watch your base with their Overlords as well. They'll keep tabs on it on the minimap. And if they don't see flood continuing out of your base, they will stop fucking uniting and will start droning while the fight's happening, because you're not flooding them. So they will get to that drone count faster to then explode to max supply with whatever the units they're going to make. That is more.
Well, that's the other thing is you point out that this isn't necessarily required in gold, but I know just from observing myself post play and during play, I do not at all have a habit of checking the minimap, which is why, for instance, I didn't notice until, 6 or 7 minutes that you had a third base up and that I was drastically slow on my timing. Like, well, I think focusing on this Overlord spread would maybe force that minimap checking habit.
Yeah, no, it's good to have. It's good to have, and your build is supposed to be having mutas going out as fast as possible to check for thirds anyways. But what I'm saying with you specifically is your build is going to basically always almost be the same either way. Like, if you get all in, I'm not going to say you have to play it perfectly. Just make units until you feel safe. It's going to make the game feel awkward as fuck. But if you go mutas behind getting all in, that's always a strong option. You know, they just try not to die to the all in, essentially. And then if you go, once you go to that phase where you're making Ling Bane floods into my base, and then you're going for mutas to control me, it doesn't matter how much you really make at that point anyways, because if you fuck up, and you're like, oh god, he's got like 60 supply and roaches, and I only have 30 supply and mutas. This is scary. I just made drones. You could still be okay, because if you do the A-click, right-click, A-click, right-click, A-click, right-click thing, you could kill roaches as they cross the map to my base, and you can thin it out, and you'd be okay. Like, mutas give you that option to play, you know, a little bit crazier, essentially, which is why I was not opposed to you doing this in ZvZ. That's why I say they're good, because if anyone's like the guy who's basically like, oh, I'm going to do a Roach Ling Bane all in every game. That's my ZvZ strat. Mutas fucking crush that. Like, hard. as long as you just don't make them super slow.
Yeah. Which is just going to come with practice.
Yeah. So like right
Practicing
now,
this build a lot.
right now you should be taking your second gas, and you should be spinning your larva. So you didn't. Okay, you did spin your larva. But, there we go. Also, just keep in mind too. This is a problem I'm seeing already out of you. Is you don't like the whole 5SD thing. I think you let your larva stack too much. Because your overlords, yeah, you definitely made a lot of overlords, and I would rather you make a lot of overlords than no overlords, because your supply cushion is huge. I'm not that's better than no overlords, because like right now, for instance, you have 13 supply already as a cushion, and you're making 2 more overlords again, and you're never going to even remotely even come close to that at this point for like the next like 2 minutes of this game. So, but that again, that's better than supply blocking. Just know that, because if you supply block and your larva caps out, that's fucking way worse. So I'm not saying what you're doing is bad. It's just, I don't want you to get in the habit of having like these big supply cushions and then just not making your larva until you make it in waves. Because watch.
One thing I was going to say is, since our last lesson, my larva spin has improved quite a bit. I guess the problem here is with trying this new build, it might be a little biased towards losing some of those habits. Like I didn't spread creep hardly at all this.
No, I totally agree with you. It's complicated. I 100% agree with that.
It was more so a product of trying out this new build and completely loving.
I get on board with that, and that's exactly why I was saying no matter what it is, whenever you start trying to implement micro into your play, it usually is best to do it in diamond. But whenever you do it, it's gonna be hard as fuck. It's gonna feel super hard. It happens to everybody. Because it's micro is the harder part of this game, because it's not just micro like it's just macro. It's now both. It's never like anyone who thinks micro is just micro and that's it. Like, oh, I just want to learn how to micro. Just teach me how to micro. That guy doesn't know what he's doing, because it's not ever just micro. A pro gamer is not just micro. A masters player is not just micro. It's micro while fucking macroing. And if you can't even macro, how the hell are you going to do both? So that's usually the B2GM philosophy right there. That's what I try to teach people in general, which is why it's going to feel hard as fuck at first.
Hello, ViBE less than 3.
But yeah, I mean, everyone has started at some point. And if you want to try this build in ZvZ, again, this is a ZvZ specific build that will work here. But as we can see, like, you're not microing yet. You're still just macroing at this point. And I know it's a new build for you, so it's a little confusing. But like right there, you have 8 larvae.
Yeah.
So that's it's a bit damaging to you right there, and it's really just, it's just the habit of you, no matter what build you do, should be 5SD, 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 the whole time. You should definitely try to make that a core habit, because that's a lot of time right there where you just didn't. This is what I imagined that you just did. When you had 8 larvae, I imagine you looked away from the screen and looked at like a post-it note, and were like, okay, make Roach Warren at 8 drones. Okay, do that. That's what I imagined happened right there.
Yeah, it was pretty much like that the whole game. I don't know, I'm gonna run this for a couple days, a couple weeks, see if I can clean it up a little bit.
Yeah.
One of the frustrating things is I have now this super cool ZvZ Muta thing I can run that you've given me. The only problem is there's no fucking Zerg players in gold/early plat. Like, gosh, I don't remember the numbers. Zerg is very underrepresented at this level, so it's like I won't get the opportunity to practice this as much as I would.
I feel like this is a good build to give you, though, just in general for like variety of coaching for you, because otherwise what I would have done for you, honestly, is I would have just taught you fucking B2GM again. I would have just given you like the same lesson twice, basically, because I'm being dead serious. B2GM in every matchup is what you need. Like, if you can't do it, it's really just figuring out why you can't do it. And really quickly, just to give you like a general good information, like little tidbit here. Have you ever seen me do the notepad trick that I do with build? Like, I build like recognition to like see where you're going wrong.
No.
Okay, so what I want you to do, check this out. This will be in the VOD or on my stream or whatever. Like, you'll see it if you just watch the VOD.
Yeah, I have stream open on second monitor.
What I want you to do is I want you to go like this. I want you to like just simply just do a post-it notepad and do like my build, and then you can use one of my builds as an example where you're like, okay, I want to try and pace as good as ViBE does. and I want you to put down literally timers on the game that go all the way to like 10 minutes. Seriously. Like, don't make it easy on yourself. Go to like 10 minutes, because the shorter you take it, the easier you make it on yourself. So you can literally just do that, and then, you know, or to make it easier, because it's fucking the way Notepad works, I can just go like this and just fucking do above and below, because otherwise I have to like hit the space bar a lot. There you go. And then what you do is every time you have a number, you go like this. Okay, at 1 minute, ViBE was at fucking, you know, 20 supply, and then 20, and then you also you not only write supply down, you write worker count down. So supply, worker count, supply, worker count, supply, worker count, and then you do this every minute of the replay. You go back to the replay of my games and you write it down. You only have to do this once, because if you do it once, you'll have it forever, because it's the same replay you keep basing everything off of. But you will always change your replay if you feel like, you know what the fuck happened this game? Why was this so bad? Let me come back here and look at this. And then if, for instance, if like, let's just say up to like 4 minutes, everything is the fucking same, okay? Let's say you've mastered the 4 minutes of the game. But now at 5 minutes, let's just say hypothetically, at 5 minutes, I'm like 49, or rather 60 supply, 49 workers. Or that's what you're at, okay? At 5 minutes. And the ViBE build is at 72 supply, 58 workers. Or something like that. And then now you could be like, okay, well, what the fuck happened? Why did I just fall off at that point? What happened between 4 and 5 minutes now? It literally like does like a magnifying glass on your problems. So it's not just like trying to look at a whole replay and feeling overwhelmed and being like, well, I don't know. It's like everything at once. I don't know how to fix this, because it's everything. I don't know what I did wrong. Like, was it the gas? Was it the fucking drones? Was it my larva? Was it my third? Did I not attack enough? Like, everyone does this, where they look at a replay and they don't know how to look at a replay. They're just like, I don't know what the fuck is happening, because it's everything. It's always, like, it's the whole build's bad. But if you break it down like this, minute by minute by minute, okay, up to 4 minutes, I played exactly identical to what is quote-unquote efficient. And now at 5 minutes, I fell apart. And then, obviously, if you fall apart, you don't, like, the way StarCraft 2 works is if you fall apart between 4 and 5 minutes, it doesn't just mean that suddenly it's between 6 and 7 minutes you're back on on efficiency again and you're good to go. The rest of the game is inefficient. So if you fall off once, you're gone forever until you start a new game. You don't just recover in this game. The only way
This game is so hard.
Yeah, no, you cannot fuck up at all. So like if we're talking about efficiency, so if you have something where it's like 1 minute of your gameplay is really bad, you don't just get to make up time for that and be like, oh, okay, well, I'll just play twice as good the next minute and I'll be back on point. No, it doesn't work like that. You're just always behind now, because it sets the early game always sets the pace for late game. So fixing your early game will make you get to Diamond League. Like literally, that is how you get to Diamond League. So if you magnify your problems by checking what minute you dropped off in, where you're like, okay, minute 4 to 5, minute 5 to 6, whatever, that's where I fucked up big time. Go figure it out. Why? And you might be like, well, shit, okay, I've noticed I have a problem where every time there's like 2 Hellions on the map, I just fucking stop macroing. So next time this happens to me, I need to really focus on that and be like, when I see 2 Hellions, just be like, no, stop looking at those fucking Hellions. Macro. Like, I need to actually spin my larva, because I've noticed between this minute, I always fall super behind because ViBE spins his larva and I have 12 larvae sitting there or something like that. Like, that's where you need to, that's how you can really, really, really get hard on yourself about the specific points of the game that you're falling apart in, and really just hammer those out. And it is a gradual process where it's not just going to be like you might spend a week on getting up to 4 minutes of perfection. And then the next week you might get the next minute added on top of that. And the next week you might get the next 2 minutes on top of that. And you might eventually get to a point where you have a very high percentage success rate, where let's say like 80% of the time or like 75% of the time, you can play the first 8 minutes of the game pretty fucking well. And before you know it, you'll be like, wow, I'm getting Diamond League. That is how you will get promoted.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like it's just a game of repetition and memory and patterns. And if you can master those, you will feel so much better about your early game.
It's exciting, man. I like the magnifying glass trick. If that's what you're calling it here. That's not something I've seen in your streams or.
Yeah, I did this a few times in Beta GM, like this thing.
Yeah.
And I'll literally, just because I want people to see it, I will probably. I don't know if I did it in the intro to my Beta GM. I think last time in my intro to Beta GM, I did like the fucking keyboard tricks. But I might actually add this.
Yeah, you did the keyboard settings. I think there was a thing about mouse settings in there as well.
Yeah.
And then a couple of things within the StarCraft menus.
Yeah, I'll probably
That's really useful.
I'll probably add this into my next Beta GM because this is something that is super useful to everybody to like actually give yourself gradual progress.
Actually, one question I have, we're like a little bit over time here. Sorry about that.
It's all good.
I actually stopped watching Beta GM at Plat 3 because I was like, I shouldn't advance in the series beyond the rank I've actually achieved in game.
Yeah.
Would you advise that, or should I watch the whole fucking thing and have
no? I'd kind of advise that.
level advice streaming through my.
I would advise you to stop, honestly, because I talk way more about. I do very, very minor macro things at upper leagues, and I talk way more about how to set up fights and how to position your army and how to, you know, micro your army. Like, it's way more about unit control than it is about macroing your base. And if you can't actually macro your base properly, unit control doesn't apply to you. It doesn't matter at all, because if you're like trying to if you're trying to execute a fight exactly the same way I did, but I had an 80 supply army and you're trying to do it with like a 35 supply army, it's not going to be even remotely the same thing.
Cool. I will not advance in the series until I've advanced in rank then.
Yeah, I would say like earliest you should watch like diamond videos would maybe be when you're in plat. Like, I wouldn't mind if you watched it one league above what you are, but if you're like in gold again, if you drop back down to gold and you're going to watch like masters videos, that is definitely not going to help you.
Yeah, I've been playing like dog shit lately. It was pretty crazy how even after like 3 weeks of taking a break, like how much degradation in performance.
No, that's StarCraft, man. This game is fucking. Your skill decays at this game ridiculously fast because it's so much fucking things you have to keep on top of all the time. So like right now, your Muta should already, I would say, be getting ready to be started here very soon, and you should be getting ready to fly to my base while I'm like, see, I'm just starting to like crank out drones and I have a bunch of roaches. Like this should be.
Spire wasn't even halfway done.
Yeah, like your Muta should be popping out a little bit after 6 minutes and heading to my base. And you actually, what you did was you saturated your third before making mutas. You want to saturate your third after you make mutas.
Yeah, I freaked out because I saw I had a shit ton of larvae, and that you were already on a third base.
Mom
so I was like, panic third base, build a shit ton of drones.
Sorry,
Yeah,
say that again. Sorry, I had an alert pop and I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I said that, yeah, I panic built like 1 billion drones because I was like, oh shit, I don't have a third base. I feel super behind and I have a bunch of unspent larvae.
Yeah. That's how it goes.
So I got like 5 mutas here and a bunch of lings.
And something you can do too, just because you were in the game I played against AI with the Muta build, use my Muta build as a reference too. Literally just, you can, I gave you what I would consider a good gold example. So you can do the notepad trick that I just showed you on my build, and if you want to try this in ZvZ yourself, you can do the exact same thing as what you could also do with Beta GM builds. And
yeah, I'm going to go back in the replay and get all the timings and supply and army down, and then do the magnifying glass against myself in my next 30 replays over the next couple weeks I run this.
Because I would say you don't have to do it in every replay if you don't want to. I would just say definitely if you feel like it's a game that has merit, where it's like, if you feel like that was like your best, I would say it's most for optimal efficient time usage. It's best to do it with your best replay, or if you know, maybe just give yourself, if you don't feel like you're having your best replay, you just need to have a refresher. That's fine too. But doing it in every build might be a little bit time consuming and exhausting. Because if you feel like you lost the game due to something that you could be like, well, I lost because of something I easily know and understand, let's not fuck that up next time. Because it happens all the time. Everyone makes simple mistakes. You don't have to beat yourself up over a simple mistake to watch a replay and really break it down every time. But if you're like, okay, that was a good one, I feel like I'm playing really well. What the fuck am I at in the pacing guideline? You might even think you're like, I'm probably at it, dude. Like, I'm doing really well. It's like a reality check when you feel like you do it really well. and then you go into the pacing. Like, you can actually really, with time, pace yourself accurately and be like, holy fuck. Even though that was like one of my best games I've ever played, I am so far behind still. And it really just like puts things in a perspective where you're like, okay, well, I still can work on this. I can still work on that. And it keeps you from being complacent where you feel like you're just good. Where you're like, I can always improve, and let's just make checkpoints for myself where I can improve. And it's like small goals where it's like you don't have to do everything at once. It's just getting better at the first minute, the second minute, the third minute, the fourth minute, and so on and so on. And it's going to get harder progressively as the minutes increase, because not only is there more shit to do, but there's also, for doing the Muta build, now you have to add in micro elements. So I guarantee as soon as like, I bet for a long time between minute 6 and 7, you're going to be like, holy fuck, I'm like always behind. Minute 7 to 8, I'm super behind. Minute 8 to 9, I'm super behind. Like it's going to feel super hard to keep up with macro when micro starts coming into play too.
Yeah, I'm probably the worst 10+ minute player in the world. That's just facts.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's also, I think that also shows you that you should also go back to using beta GM styles. Like don't only go Muta styles. Like obviously you have to still do beta GM for like, I would not recommend the style against Terran or Protoss at all. Just do this style against Zerg only if you want to. And which means you're still going to get a lot of opportunities to have a lot of beta GM, which is going to not only, if you get better at beta GM, it's going to improve your Muta play too, because you're going to have better macro. So it's all worthwhile, basically. But like you can see right now that I am, and also keep in mind too, you're never, if you have a Zerg who just is efficient and you don't throttle them at all, they're going to max out before you do, because maxing on Roach Hydra is cheaper than maxing out on Mutalisk, Zergling, Bainling. Mutas are fucking expensive. So this, you know, this looks pretty normal if you don't throttle a Zerg. And, you know, at this point now, the only way you win the game here is by making a lot of defensive Bainlings and trying to take good fights. Now,
I think my nest... Okay, my nest actually was done, so I could have made defensive Bainlings, but yeah. I panicked here when I saw
I know you did. And I know that's why you flew to my main base. And this is exactly what Muta players do. Is they're like, I gotta get damage done. And this is what I wanted to... This is what I was really trying to tell you in the beginning of this coaching lesson, which is, this is not your priority, is to fly Mutas in my base and do damage, because look at what your macros what's happening to your macro right now.
Yeah, it's not looking good, Chief.
Yeah, you should just be making Lings and Banes and using a larva. And that way, when I actually attack you, if you have like 60 Banelings on creep with speed, and I just A-move you with Roach Hydra, and your Banes wipe out 2/3 or maybe even like 3/4, or maybe all of my Hydras, you Mutas clean up the rest of the fight, and then you just make more Ling Bane, and it sets you up to do maybe a counterattack on my base with Ling Bane. Because Ling Bane really is what wins the game here, not Mutas. Mutas just clean up whatever is left over. They're like the cleanup crew, essentially. They're not what wins the game, though. They can do a lot more, though. Again, like I said, this unit is a skill-capped unit. It's a unit with a very high skill ceiling. It has no skill cap, really. It literally is like infinite how good you can be with Mutas. Once you get really good at everything and you're not having 1,600 minerals in the bank and 14 larvae just sitting there, and having your queens... Actually, your queens are injecting pretty... Or your third is, but your natural queen's not injecting. Your main queen's kind of missing a little bit of energy. Your fourth base is being injected well. Your injects are actually better than I thought. But still, some of the injects are being missed a little bit. Players that are really efficient with Mutas, that attack all over the fucking place and get damage done constantly, they don't fuck their macro up, though, as well, if they're really good. Like, they have to be able to do that and also maintain solid fucking macro, which is super hard.
Yeah. On the macro side, the injects have usually been pretty strong, but especially when I'm trying new stuff like this, there's like no creep spread. It's really sad.
Creep spread isn't actually the most important thing in ZvZ for this style for you. The amount of creep spread you have right now, I would say that's already plenty. For like, especially for Gold League. This style, like if it's gonna be time consuming and like crazy. The bigger priority instead of creep spread for this style specifically is trying to deny my third if you can, or trying to deny my fourth if you can. Just whatever you happen to see what I get stuck on in terms of base count, try to deny me from getting more than that. That's what the Mutas do. So you should have been able to try to deny my fourth a little bit longer if you could have. Like you were trying to do it. I do remember you did kill it once, which was great. Do that as much as you can, and then getting to Ling Bane as fast as you can. Like actually trying to shove me with Ling Bane as well. Creep spread is not really like required here for you.
I don't think I even built a Bainling this game, just to give you a sense of...
I know you didn't. I know you didn't.
Yeah.
then that's what wins the game, is the Bains. But yeah, that's obviously it's something you can practice on, and you can always make it better and better and better. But just now you have kind of a guideline on how to improve with the BDGM and also this build for ZvZ specifically if you want to learn how to do mutas better.
Cool.
And yeah, man, it's gonna, like, I'm not gonna lie, you have a long road ahead of you. It's gonna be fucking hard. It's not gonna be easy. It'll feel easier. It'll feel more rewarding if you just stick to BDGM. But if you keep doing this build, it'll feel rough for a while. But the better you get overall, it's gonna have, you're gonna have these moments where you're gonna be like, wow, I just played 40 fucking horrible games in a row, but this one game I just played felt good. I feel like I've improved as a player, because even though you're losing repeatedly, or like not necessarily losing, even though you feel like you're playing shitty repeatedly, it's gonna feel bad. You might not realize it, but you will probably subtly be getting better over time. But then when you have that one game where you feel like you just really played it in your mind clean, it might not be super. It might not be like, holy fuck, that was like pro level, but it could definitely be improvement to what you used to be, and you might just physically see it firsthand and be like, wow, I feel like I am actually improving. Like, you will have those moments of like these epiphanies of skill improvements, which will feel really good. But for the most part, you will feel like you're going to be playing super clunky when you play micro styles, like it's styles that require unit control. So I hope that makes sense. Don't be discouraged, essentially, is what I'm saying. Like, if you want to try it, just stick with it. Just keep trying to improve yourself overall. Use the checkpoint timers of the notepad thing, and you'll see improvement over time. It gives you ways to see how you can improve.
Time to hit the ladder with this stuff, man. I got some good stuff to try out and a lot of practice up ahead.
Yeah, man. Any final questions before we wrap it up?
No, you've been very comprehensive. Again, I definitely feel like... Oh, I thought I had a big sneeze coming. That was a close one. I definitely feel like I'm getting more than what I've paid for the 2 times we've coached. So hey, keep it up, man. You're a great StarCraft coach. Great teacher overall. I've done a lot of piano lessons, and like, I know the comparison isn't necessarily direct.
Sure, no, I get it.
Your teaching style is definitely very good and better than a lot of the piano instructors I've had on the the other skill path I've started in my life.
I appreciate that. It's a big compliment.
Well, thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, dude. Good luck, and I will see you next time, dude.
Yeah, people, peace.
Later, man. All right, guys. That's been another coaching lesson with our boy Trapezoider. Hope you guys enjoyed it. That was I would say, gold plat level lesson. But yeah, guys, this is a little bit of a unique one. I don't normally teach micro-based strats in lower leagues. I definitely advise against it, just like I did this time again. I always advise against it because I kind of think it breaks the philosophy of what you do. But I have taught this guy before with Beta GM, so I didn't want to just literally give him the same lesson twice. So, and he also was curious about mutas, so I was like, yeah, why not? Fuck it. Let's give him some ideas about how to play a different way. And yeah, I feel like if you do want to try mutas, if you're set on it, if you want to try mutas yourself in lower leagues, the way I showed you in this coaching lesson would be the best way to do it, in my opinion. Try to put as little emphasis on muta micro as possible, because that unit will fuck you over if you don't have good macro yet. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys. I wish you the best of luck, and I will see you in the next video, whatever it may be. Until next time, take it easy. Thank you for watching, and yeah, good luck, guys.